So there's a traditionally powerful effect in Magic, which is 3 mana enchantments that let you basically draw an extra card a turn. Cards like Phyrexian Arena, cards like Underworld Connections, abilities like that have been traditionally powerful. And I think one of the sleepers out of Theros Beyond Death is Furious Rise, which is another in that line of abilities, and I think a pretty powerful one. So Furious Rise reads, at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until you exile another card with Furious Rise. So our deck is built around this ability. We're trying to turn our Furious Rise into just saying, draw an extra card every turn. One important thing to take note of with Furious Rise is it says you can play the card you exile with Furious Rise. That means you can play lands. If it says you may cast the card until the end of the turn, then that would be only spells. But because it says play, that means you can play the lands you hit with it as well, which is really powerful because that means you basically never miss with it. And it lets you kind of continue hitting all your land drops and ramping up your mana so more and more Furious Rises get more and more powerful. So to try to make sure our Furious Rise always procs, we have a few cards that play into that ability. We have Underworld Ragehound, which is a 3-1 on its front half, but when it comes back as an escape creature, it's a 4-2. So that's a 4-power creature for our Furious Rise. Then we have Slaughter Priest of Mogis. So Slaughter Priest is another creature that initially has below 4 power, but by sacrificing a permanent, any permanent, including our lands, with stuff like Evolving Wilds, we can get him up to 4 power. He has an activated ability where if you sacrifice another creature or enchantment, he gets first strike, which, if you use his ability, it also effectively pumps him +2/+0. It's just not, they're kind of separate abilities, but every time you sacrifice something with him, you are going to also puff his power too. So you can basically make him go up to 4 power if you want to, and having that ability tied to lands as well is pretty nice. Then we have Bone Crusher Giant, which is where we spend 4 of our rares in our budget. Just super, super powerful. Does, pretty much everything we want. So it's a 2 mana interactive spell for the early game, and then we can play it for 3 mana to be a 4-power creature to turn on our Furious Rise. So Bone Crusher, we spend a bunch of our rares there for a reason. It's just insanely good in this strategy. And then Anax, when a Furious Rise is on the battlefield, it's already a 3/3, so we just need any other red Pip of Devotion to turn this into a 4/3 and start drawing cards for Furious Rise. So like a Ragehound or a Slaughter Priest or even another Furious Rise, a Bone Crusher Giant, any of that will turn on Anax into a 4/3, which will activate our Furious Rise. And also Anax serves the purpose of Wrath Protection in our deck, just so if we do play out a bunch of creatures and our opponent decides to, if we get hit by the new Wrath of God in the format, we at least get a bunch of 1/1s out of the deal, so that's good. And also we have Rakdos Firewheeler, another 4-power creature. This is mostly good against creature-based decks, but, it's just a good kind of utility creature. It can ding like a Teferi, or it can, just a 4/3 that comes down and hits our opponent for 2 and then turns on our Furious Rise is pretty good, especially because it's an uncommon, so it's great for our budget. And then we run 1 copy of Farrakha's Spawn, and this is another creature that, on its front half, it doesn't have 4 power, but when it comes back from the graveyard with its escape ability, not only does it come back as a 5/6, which will trigger our Furious Rises, it also makes our opponent sacrifice a creature, so it's just a 1-of that we can kind of tutor for, and we tutor for it with our Gravebreaker Lamia, which, Gravebreaker Lamia is sort of the thing that connects the 2 different parts of our deck. First off, Gravebreaker Lamia herself has 4 power, so she turns on our Furious Rises. But importantly, whenever Gravebreaker Lamia enters the battlefield, we get to put a creature from our deck into our graveyard. So we've already talked about Farrakha's Spawn. We can go and get that if it's an ideal moment for it. We can go and get our Underworld Ragehounds to bring back. But the other biggest part of our deck is Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. So Kroxa is just an absolute bombshell, and is the namesake of our deck, Kroxpot, for Kroxa. When Kroxa enters the battlefield, so Kroxa costs 2 mana and is a 6/6, but he does have a downside, because when he enters the battlefield, he sacrifices himself, unless he was escaped from the graveyard. So Gravebreaker Lamia lets us tutor our Kroxa out of our deck into our graveyard, and then we can bring him back with his escape cost. And running these Gravebreaker Lamias as 3 of our rares in our budget is a great way we can sort of tutor our Kroxa when we're ready for it. And in general, Kroxa is just pretty good. I mean, if we just play him on turn 2 as basically a discard spell, it's not so bad. So to facilitate our Kroxa plan, we do have Mire Tritons. Mire Triton doesn't really go with our Furious Rise plan. It's a little awkward in that sense, but it does fuel our graveyard strategy. It does put Underworld Ragehounds in our graveyard, and puts, escape fodder in there for them and our Kroxas and our Farrakha's Spawn. So it kind of does the graveyard half of our deck. And in general, it's just a 2/1 Death Touch is actually a pretty good body. It attacks through most things. You know, it forces trades. It can lock down some big green creatures and you know, force some trades on those. So it's just a pretty good body, and the fact that it comes in and gains its life is not insignificant as well against like a red deck. And then lastly, we're just running some interaction. We're running 2 copies of Drag to the Underworld as some creature removal, and then 3 copies of Agonizing Remorse. Basically because it's the, you know, kind of not so great Thoughtseize of the format, but it's still pretty good. I mean, being able to grab anything out of your opponent's hand and exile it, and or take an important card out of their graveyard is pretty good. And it's good to have just some instants and sorceries in the deck to go into the graveyard, because we can use those as fuel for our escape creatures. If we just had all creatures, it's a little hard sometimes to get things in the graveyard if we don't draw our Mire Tritons. So by running these Agonizing Remorse and these Drags in the Underworld, we can kind of help fill our graveyard that way too. So that wraps it up for our non-rares. So our budget count is 3 rares for our Gravebreakers, 4 rares for our Bone Crusher Giants, and 2 mythics for our Kroxa. So all in all, 7 rares, 2 mythics. So we went a little above. I usually like to stay at 8 wild cards, but I wanted to push this a little bit because I wanted 2 copies of Kroxa, and I didn't really want to go down any more than 3 for the Gravebreaker Lamias, and Bone Crusher felt too important. So I pushed a little bit to 9 wild cards this time. For our lands, like usual, I'm running rare lands, but if you don't have the rare lands, then you just run as many as you got. You know, run as many Blood Crypts as you got, run as many Fable Passages as you got, and if you don't, you can run the common lands. Usually I'd recommend running the life gain lands, the lands that come into play tapped and gain you 1 life. But here, if you don't have, for whatever rare lands you don't have, just slot in some Evolving Wilds. Evolving Wilds is actually really good in this deck because it triggers Slaughter Priest of Mogis, so it's better than running the tapped and gain to life lands. It does a better job, but typically what the ideal land count would be something like 4 Fable Passages, 4 Blood Crypts, 2 Evolving Wilds, and 2 Temple of Malices. I only have 1 Temple of Malice, so just not running another one. But yeah, these you do want to actually run. Typically, I think the temples are better than running Fable Passages in a 2-color deck, but in this deck in particular, you do want the Fable Passages if you've got them. But if you don't worry about it. Just run the rare lands you do have, and then run Evolving Wilds to fill in the gaps. Onto our sideboard, we have Cling to Dust as Graveyard Hate, and it's something we can tutor up with Gravebreaker Lamia, so we're just running the 1 copy because if we side it in, it basically effectively means we have 4 copies of it because we can go grab it with our Gravebreaker Lamia. Disfigure for some aggressive decks. Duress to help us deal with control. Noxious Grasp to deal with some Nissa decks, and it helps against white decks as well. Fry to deal with Teferi decks mostly, and Angras Rampage to sort of, if we need more interaction, this is sort of a catch-all. You know, if we need to blow up an artifact, we need to get a creature or a planeswalker. This sort of fills in the gap where maybe our other sideboard pieces don't. So I'm super excited to be able to test out Furious Rise. I really do think this is a sleeper at Theros Beyond Death, especially in a budget sense. If you can get this proccing every turn, this is just, no deck is going to be able to beat this, right? If you're drawing, like, if you have 1 of these on the battlefield, it's already pretty crushing, but these aren't legendary. These don't make you lose life, so there's really no downside to having multiple on the battlefield. Like, usually, like a Phyrexian Arena, if you're like, I'll play 3 Phyrexian Arenas, or you just die. Like, you're losing 3 life a turn, so if you can't kill your opponent pretty quick, you're going to just die to your own Phyrexian Arenas. But there's no downside like that with Furious Rise. You just have to be able to enable it. You have to turn it on. And if you do, it's just free card draw every single turn. So I'm really excited to be able to play that. And also Kroxa is just strikes me as an obscenely powerful card. So it's going to be really fun to use him with this Furious Rise. I will have a section at the end where I talk about potential upgrades you can make to the deck. Again, this is a budget deck, so if you want to spend a few more wild cards, or if you already have the rares and mythics I'll talk about at the end, then you can slot those in. This deck should be pretty runnable as is, but if you do want to just up it a little bit, make it a little bit stronger, we'll talk about that in a section after the gameplay. But for now, let's just hop to the games. Alright, playing against Ko Mingzi, playing Kroxpot. Yeah, we'll keep this. Got our Kroxa, got our namesake card here, Kroxa, and we got Mire Triton, Rakdos Firewheeler, you know, kind of some late game cards potentially, but we got a lot of early interaction too, so opponent mulligans. We'll go ahead and get our black source. I don't like this new UI for Fable Passage. I misclick like half the time, and I have to click it multiple times. It's definitely not just me being bad, it's the program's fault. Okay, that was a good draw, so now we can Mire Triton. Kroxa is better when they have fewer cards in hand, but they have less options of what to discard, so we'll hold on to it for now. See what our opponents have to do. They might just be on control, which is gonna be a lot of fun. As control always is. Blue-white control is one of the top decks in the format right now, so that's likely what it is. Looking more likely. Birth and the lead is. I guess you could play that in blue-white control. I don't know if they usually do, but it's not a bad card by any means. Yeah. Attack with Mire Triton. I guess we do just Kroxa here because we've got nothing better to do. We would like to wait longer, but I mean, we're not going to just do nothing this turn. Next turn we could potentially Fire Wheeler. If our opponent plays something worth Fire Wheeling her at. It's a fairy. Okay. Okay, they're going to just bounce the Mire Triton, sure. But we can kill it with Bone Crusher, so it is blue-white control. Yeah. I hate blue-white control, but then again, who doesn't? So, Mire Triton, really it's just a fairy. Fairy is an annoying card. I think most people would agree at this point. Not a fun card to play against. I guess we do have enough cards here to get back Kroxa next turn. If we get them to tap out, so they're not holding up a counter. Definitely blue-white, because they would have grabbed if they were a third color, they would have splashed it, or would have grabbed it there. We'll attack with Mire Triton. Get in. Yeah, and I think we just try to play around Absorb here, so we will Bone Crusher. Play Slaughter Priest. So now if they do Wrath us, at least we get to draw a card with Bone Crusher. So that's something at least. Wrath is really, or whatever it's called, Shatter the Sky. Basically Wrath of God is really, I think, what put this deck over the top. I mean, there's been like Esper control decks and such, but just having a regular 4-mana Wrath again back in Standard has really given control a really valuable tool, I think. Let them stay in 2 colors and keep up with the aggro decks. Okay, fun. Just plays another Birth of Meletus, sure. Gets planes. Okay. Oh. Alright, we'll go to combat, attack. Man, if we had one more mana, we could Agonizing Remorse, try to get a counter on their hand, and then Kroxa. Given that we have 5 mana, I think we just Gravebreaker Lamia here. Yeah, opponent jumping with the wall like that makes me think our Wrath is a-coming, so... we're just gonna Agonizing Remorse. This should force the counter at the very least. Okay. Dovin's Veto, sure. Nope. And pass turn. Well, that's a little unfortunate. Dovin's Veto, that wouldn't have been able to hit any of our other spells, so maybe it was wrong to try to get him to I thought they had an Absorb, most likely. Huh. The fact that they sacked the, or they put the wall instead of in front of the creature that, okay, sure. Alright, we will sacrifice the Bone Crusher so it doesn't get eaten by that Banishing Light. We can use it for fuel for our Kroxa instead. Yeah, I guess we should have just run the Gravebreaker Lamia into a counter instead of... Because now we don't have the play we were talking about earlier where we go, you know, discard plus Kroxa. Well, I guess we weren't going to have it anyway. So, go to combat. Attack with both. Opponent gets a free block on the Slaughter Priest. Sure. But, we do get to try to Fire Wheeler. Yeah, we're going to try to Fire Wheeler here, see if we can kill that wall. Hit our opponent for 2. And this does, once again, set us up to... If they wrath us here, we do get to draw a card, because we now have a 4-power creature on board. So we're trying to save this Kroxa as like post-wrath. We don't want another Slaughter Priest, so we'll put that to the bottom. Alright. Got our opponent under some pressure here. Shatter, sure. We can draw a card. Come on, discard. If we can go discard into Kroxa, I'd be very happy. Because I'm pretty sure they're holding up an Absorb here. Furious Rise. Well, can't do 2 spells this turn anyway. Do we want to just Kroxa or do we want to Grape? I would do Grapebreaker. It's the most mana intensive, so if we're only going to do one thing this turn, might as well do the thing that costs us the most mana. Now, there's the Absorb. Wonder if they just drew that or if they've had it this whole time. I was playing around it, but what if they even... Thirst for Meaning. Good draw here. It is an instant, so I don't... Maybe they're looking for a land. Why would they want 5 mana? Alright, well, we're gonna go for it. Kroxa. Exile. Just some stuff we have no ways to get anything back anyway, so it doesn't really matter what we exile, but our opponent doesn't know that, so we might as well exile as if they gotta worry about this stuff in the future. There's a Kroxa, sure. Just gonna discard. We did get that Absorb out of the way with the... Thank goodness. And now we get to Furious Rise. Although potentially they could have a Dovin's Veto. Oh, we made them discard it. Please let that be the only one they had. It is! Oh my god. Okay. So now if they don't have an answer to this Furious Rise, hopefully it'll draw us into some more action. Okay, Shatter the Sky, sure. We get to draw a card, and we get to replay our Kroxa too. We have enough cards in the graveyard, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep, so I think we're just gonna first play the Swamp that we got off of Furious Rise, and then just replay our Kroxa. Exile, exile. Oh, we'll leave the Grapebreaker. Exile everything else. Make our opponent discard. Oh, they have a counter now? Oh, did he draw a counter? They drew an Absorb. Damn. Okay, well, at least we can play the Rage Hound as a threat. Omen of the Sea. Ooh, that's not good. That's going to dig them pretty deep. They have to scry 2, draw a card, then scry 2 again. Omen of the Sea is pretty good. They leave 1 on top, which is not the most reassuring thing. Ooh, okay. First we'll attack. Attack for 3. Play Agonizing Remorse. Okay. We'll pay the 3. 1, 2, 3. Sure. We'll take the Shadow of the Sky. I don't know if that was a good idea with the Mystic Dispute, but... They do get to scry with this Omen of the Sea. Yeah. So really we would like to get like a Mire Triton here to refill our graveyard. Or any 4-power creature would be good with this Furious Rise. Probably the best thing would be another Lamia. If we drag to the Underworld and then get the Rage Hound back, we'll have to exile our Kroxa. I think we just attack with our Rage Hound. Just put some pressure on the board. I was trying to think if we should kill our own Rage Hound with our drag to the Underworld so that we could start proccing this Furious Rise. But I think we'll just get in there. Moment of the Sea, sure. And double drag to the Underworld does mean we can answer like a Dream Trawler, because they'll play their Dream Trawler, have 1 card in hand, and we can drag, kill it. Let's see what they do here. Okay, they scoop it up. So we were able to just grind through this control deck pretty convincingly. Sweet. The value was key there, and I think we do have some good things to bring in, like Duresses. We've got... Do we want to bring in Fry against a Fairy? I guess so. We'll bring in the Fries. We'll go down. Drag to the Underworld seem pretty bad. Barracuda Spawn seems pretty bad. And the Rakdos Firewheelers aren't great. And maybe one of the Anaxes and just... Well, no, Anax is pretty good as Wrath Protection, I guess. Maybe we'll go down one of the Slaughter Priests and... Yeah, just run it like that. Seems pretty good. Alright, game 2, and we will keep this. Against blue-white control, this looks pretty good. Duress, followed by another discard. Pretty good. Yeah, so we'll just turn one Juresimir. Ether Gusts, Absorb. I guess Absorb. Okay, bonus Cerulean Drake, sure. We will Blood Crypt, play Mire Trident, which can get through that Cerulean Drake pretty convincingly. Sure, Bun gets in. We will attack. Yeah, I guess we just Kroxa here. They can Ether Gust it if they want to. That's alright. Okay, we will put that back on top. Yep. Play Swamp, pass turn. Raychound looks pretty bad against the Cerulean Drake, so we probably will wait to play that for a bit. Especially when we can do something instead like Slaughter Priest plus Kroxa. Even though they'll just discard probably that Plains they went and grabbed, I mean that's still something, right? Still takes them a little bit off mana. So we will able go and get another red source. Go to combat, attack. Wow, they're just gonna trade with a Death Toucher. Okay, okay. Okay, we'll play Kroxa here. Opponent discard. If they discard a land, they take 3 damage too, which isn't nothing. Okay, they discard the Dovan Speedo. What do they have for 5 mana that they want to hold onto that Plains for, I wonder? There's the dude, sure. Okay, Duress is pretty good. So we'll go to combat, attack with Slaughter Priest. I guess they get to just block anyway, but they could be scared of the... Okay, they're not. I'm gonna say they could be scared of the Firewheeler hitting them again, but we'll Duress here. Try to take a counter out of our opponent's hand. Okay, Absorb, sure, but we get to throw down Anax. It's pretty good here. Gains a little life, sure. Hopefully that's the only counter they had, so next turn we can go Kroxa. Yeah! Wow, we just completely dominated blue-white control, which is the best deck in the format. It wasn't even close. Like, we just completely ground them out. Wow. Awesome. Man, this deck is awesome. Kroxpot. Woo! Rakdos Kroxpot. Awesome. What a blast. This deck is not only, like, super powerful, it's a blast to play. Man. Such a cool deck. Sweet. Alright, playing against Boo Liberty with this Kroxa. Okay, I guess we keep this with this Kroxa deck. Okay, we will Mire Triton. Get some Black Devotion on the battlefield so we can play this Drag to the Underworld if we end up drawing a black source. If not, we can Agonizing Remorse next turn. Didn't want to draw another Firewheeler. We did just mill 2 lands, so that's just how it goes, though. You always mill what you want to draw, and draw what you would rather have milled. It's just a fact of life. Earth of Melodus, okay. Mire Triton's pretty good against that. I mean, it can't, the walls aren't going to be doing much anything against us. Okay, yeah, I think we just Agonizing Remorse here. See what's going on in our opponent's hand. Okay, Ugin the Ineffable, Flicker of Fate. So this is some kind of flicker deck. I guess flickering a Birth of Melodis is pretty good. I think we take Ugin though. We can beat the rest of this. So, attack. Blood Crypt, tapped, pass turn. Opponent's on some sort of mono-white flicker deck, it looks like. Planning to flicker their sagas before they go away to double up the value on them. Sure. Opponent scries 2. We would love just to top deck a land here to go Firewheeler and then attack with Mire Triton. That would be really good. I'm just hoping we do. Yes, okay, perfect. We will go and get a Black Source. Firewheeler. Ping the Charming Prince. Get in for 2. And we're looking pretty good. They can... okay. They could have, in response to that last trigger going on the stack, they could have flickered the Birth of Melodis to get, to reset it basically back to 1, get another planes, go through the whole cycle again. Oh my god. Okay, I guess I just had Births of Melodis they could play from hand, so they didn't need to. Ooh, Furious Rise. I guess we don't really need card advantage right now, so we'll just attack, see what our opponent does. Or just... sure. The question is, do we want to hold on to the Firewheeler to potentially ding something? Nah, I think we just put her onto the battlefield. Hit our opponent for 2. Just put as much on the battlefield as we can. I mean, this potentially opens us up to a Wrath, but if they Wrath here, they lose their walls too, so I guess that's something. And we get to draw a card if they Wrath, so... so potentially this is okay. None of our... okay, Elves with Conqueror's Death. That's pretty good. That's gonna eat up one of our Firewheelers. I am happy we put 2 on the battlefield then. Sure. Go to combat, attack. Okay. We will pay life, play Lamia, put... I think we're gonna put Kroxa in our graveyard. Or Kroxa. I assume it's supposed to be Kroxa because, like, Cronus, I think it's based off of the Titan Cronus from Greek mythology, so... Kroxa, right? But I kind of want to say Kroxa because it kind of looks more like Kroxa, but... I don't know. I suppose it's an imaginary character from a video game. I can call it whatever I want. Flicker of Fate's pretty good here. Gonna eat up our... Lamia, potentially? Yeah, okay. That's fine. Pretty good. And it did... I guess maybe that was a reason we should have Furious Rise last turn. As now it costs 5. But we still do it. I guess what else are we doing? Yeah. We'll still Furious Rise. Start getting some extra value off of that. Attack with our creatures. It did make it so our opponent felt like they couldn't wait for this thing to come back, so... okay, another Lamia is nice. Like, our opponent felt like they couldn't wait for this thing to hit its ultimate. Oh my god, okay. Well, they're drawing all their Dust with Conqueror's Deaths. Okay, but we do have a card advantage engine going here, so... it's not that bad. I mean, we can... Gravebreaker Lamia... put a... I guess we'll put a Raychound into the graveyard. Blood Crypt, tapped, attack for 2. Takes 2, sure. Okay, there's an Anax. I mean, our Furious Rise is coming through here. Our opponent has just answered us every step of the way, but we've got a Furious Rise drawing us 2 cards a turn, so if they're just 1-for-1ing us thoroughly, that's fine because we get to have 2 cards a turn, so you can 1-for-1 us if you want to. That's for Elves with Conqueror's Death. Alright. We're working through them. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. Alright, so we will play Anax. We will play Kroxa. Exile everything. Take the last card out of our opponent's hand. We also now have enough power on the battlefield for Furious Rise. Get him with Mire Triton. Sure. I guess, maybe we shouldn't have attacked because they can. Now they didn't have anything in their graveyard to get back with Elspeth Conquers Death, did they? Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have just not attacked that turn. Let them get nothing back with their Charming Prince. I mean, we got pretty much nothing out of attacking there. We just lost our Mire Triton. So that was a mistake for sure. Just gave our opponent free scry value and a creature to get. All right. Okay. Okay, that's all the Elspeth Conquers Death, right? Yeah, that's literally all four. So we have worked through them now. I guess we do have value for attacking here because it'll Kroxa will ding them for 4, or for wow, yeah, they went after our Anax. So I guess we Mogis, Triton, Mogis. Let's put as much battle stuff on the battlefield as we can. Opponent can block here. They can do the same thing, get their Charming Prince back, but this time we actually have a reason to. Last time we attacked just for pretty much no reason and gave them free value, but I'm willing to give them the value this time if we get to ding them for 3, because they're at 6 life. Okay, they get the Charming Prince back again. Sure, sure, sure. Don't care about that. Oh, it gets to scry again. Sure, sure, sure. We've got just so much pressure on the battlefield. They're going to need a Wrath, and even a Wrath isn't that great because it just puts our Kroxa in the graveyard, right? And then we can, wow, our opponent just gains life with a Charming Prince. Alright, I think I see the theme of this deck. Wow, they went after a Furious Rise. Interesting. Can we just win here? Let's see. Kill the Charming Prince. Attack with everything. And our opponent is dead. Alright. So our opponent is on Elspeth Conquers Death deck. Anything we have against white enchantments. No, these are creatures or planeswalkers. I guess Duress could be good. Yeah, I think we go up a couple Duresses. I guess these Agonizing Remorses are really the best thing we have against them. I don't want to go up too many Duresses because they do have some creatures. I guess we'll go up 3 Duresses, go down, Farrakha's Spawn, go down, do one of the Mogises and one of the Anaxes and run it like that. So our Furious Rise was the reason we won that game, right? Like, they exiled how many permanents with Elspeth Conquers Death? Probably like 5, 6, maybe 7. And we just drew so many cards off that Furious Rise that we were still able to outgrind them, even with all of our threats getting answered. So, pretty nice. We can't keep this one. Mulligan. Okay, we'll keep this. Go down a Lamia. Right, Evolving Wilds, crack it. Go and get a red source. I think we go Mire Triton, Anax, then Agonizing Remorse. Because really what we're worried about is Elspeth Conquers Death. Like, anything up to that point, I'm not too worried about, so I think I'd rather spend these first few turns getting more pressure on the board, so that when we Agonizing Remorse, hopefully we are in good shape. Okay, let's see what they do. Basically, we don't need to Agonizing Remorse on turn 2, is what I'm saying. Okay. Gideon is kind of scary. I guess we get to attack it, though.
I believe in you.
I guess I need to bring in the white creature and planeswalker hate to deal with that. Sure. Gideon.
That's a good hit.
Blast Zone. Are they gonna just Wrath here? They could just Wrath. Archon. Ugh. That's pretty scary. Okay, yeah, we definitely need to bring in the white hate.
Prepare for battle.
That was a mistake on my part. No blocks. land is good. Guess we... yeah, well, Agonizing Remorse. Try to take something good out of their hand. Brought back Ugin and Stone Coil Serpent. I guess we take Ugin. Play Underworld Rage Hound. Attack our bonus Gideon. Pass turn. Ugh. This ain't the best. Let's see what our opponent will probably just play a big Stone Coil here, I expect. It's pretty good. They drew an enchantment to go with this Archon.
I believe in you, friend.
Wow, our opponent's attacking, huh? Oh, they gave it Vigilance, that makes sense. So if they just play a big Stone Coil here, I think if we swing everything at Gideon, we still don't kill the... I guess they can blink the Gideon, can't they? To reset its loyalty? I wonder if they do that. Interesting. Oh, they're just scrying, okay. So they're just gonna do a little Stone Coil here? No? Okay, so we can kill Gideon here, so we will... I guess it means we're doing nothing else this turn, but I think it's worth it. I guess they can get it back with Brought Back, can't they? Crap. Huh. Well, we gotta attack with the Rage Hound, so we might as well attack with these two. See what our opponent does. Okay. They're gonna... Okay, well, at least we're gonna get the Brought Back out of their hand, at the very least. So now we will... Yeah, we'll Furious Rise. Go to our end step, draw a card thanks to our Anax being at 4 power. Ooh, Bone Crusher's not bad. We hope to hit a land next turn so we can, like... We can do both halves of Bone Crusher. We can at least do the shock half of Bone Crusher next turn and put it into, you know, off on its adventure instead of being exiled to Furious Rise so we don't lose it. Maybe we should have... Maybe we should have just attacked with everything there, because then if they... I guess they wouldn't have lost 3 permanents, would they? They would have just let Gideon die and block with a Charming Prince, same. So, yeah, I guess we didn't really lose anything there. Giant Killer, okay. We do get two 1/1s. Do get that Brought Back out of the way, thank goodness. Can't block. So I'm gonna take a big chunk of damage here. Alright, come on now. Okay, land is good, so we will play Babel Passage, crack it. Go and get a Black Source. Go to combat. Swing with everything at Gideon. Okay. So here we can, we can Bone Crusher to kill, we can double Bone Crusher to kill the Gideon. Are we just dead if we do that? No. I think that's what we do. We Bone Crusher, hit Gideon. It does mean we don't get Furious Rise this turn.
I can take a hit or two.
But I think it's better than killing the Archon. Got a double Bone Crusher either way to kill either one of those. We're not looking great. This Archon makes things tricky, and they have a big Stone Coil we know is coming. We're gonna have to like run removal into removal here. Even then, there might be no way we can live through this thanks to the Giant Killer. If they just leave enough mana to tap the Giant Killer, 1 and a white, and also play this Stone Coil, there might be no series of draws. Yeah, they did it. This might be... Let's see. Well, yeah, we definitely can't. I guess if we go Bone Crusher, Slaughter Priest, they tap it down. Yeah, we're dead no matter what we do. Alright, so we'll scoop it up. Yep. Okay, so we mis-sideboarded. All we saw last game was just an enchantment strategy, so I didn't think they had this many just like white mid-range creatures, so we didn't bring in the Fries when we should have. Fry will be really good here. And also we have Noxious Grasp, so we have 4 really great sideboard cards I just didn't bring in. So to bring those in, we'll go down a couple Duresses. Maybe all the Duresses. Maybe it's just better not to worry about the Elspeth Conqueror's Death. Just hope to hit it with our Agonizing Remorses. And go down one of the Rage Hounds and run it like this. Alright, playing against Blue Liberty. Play first. I guess we'll keep this. We have an answer for a creature on turn 2, then we can play Bone Crusher, then we can play Furious Rise and start drawing cards. I mean, the downside is if our opponent answers our Bone Crusher, our Furious Rise is doing nothing. But that's our plan at least. It's good enough that I think we keep it. Opponent had to mulligan twice, which is good. Makes me feel better about keeping this hand, because I mean, if you think about it, if we had mulligan twice and we just had 3 lands and these 2 cards, that would be a pretty good mulligan down to 5. So we're at least hopefully around their same power level. I'm just going to start with this Fable Passage to thin the deck a bit, even though it's just a tiny percentage of a chance that I reduce by taking the land out. Just might as well. There's some value to holding on to Fable Passage for the Mogis' Slaughter Priests, but oh my god. Alright, we will kill the Giant Killer. With the Giant. That's kind of a flavor fail. We killed the Giant Killer with the Giant. Huh. Alright. Apostle. Okay. That's not super great against our deck. Well, we proceeded to draw all lands, so pretty much the worst thing that could happen, but they don't have an answer for the Bone Crusher Giant. Of course they do. No more lands, no more lands, no more lands. Anything but lands is good. Okay. Anax is not a land, so we will Anax. Oh, I guess we gotta actually play a red source. Play Anax. Faster. Apostle's not great against us. It's not the worst, but oh my god. Bunch of them chained together. Vanishing Lights. Okay. Red and black do not have good ways to deal with enchantments, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess we just Agonizing Remorse, see what's in their hand. Charming Prince are brought back. I guess we take the Charming Prince. And we will just play Swamp, play Furious Rise. We're going to hold on to this Fable Passage now, because if we draw a Slaughter Priest, we can play Fable Passage, crack it, and that'll bring its power up to 4, and trigger this Furious Rise. So that's what we're hoping for. Oh, and we drew exactly that, wow. Slaughter Priest. Play Fable Passage, crack it. Crack it. Trigger our Slaughter Priest's ability. Get a Mountain. And pass turn. And now on our end step, because we have 4 power, we get an extra draw for Furious Rise. Another Slaughter Priest is not bad. Opponent's going to start going after our graveyard, which is, you know, there's some value to that. I don't know why it's giving me the option to activate Slaughter Priest. I don't have another creature. This is sacrifice another creature or enchantment. Okay, I could sacrifice Furious Rise, which I might do if they like go to remove it or something. Okay, opponent just leaves it back on defense. Sure. Ugh. More lands is really bad. Here we will Slaughter Priest, and I think we just sack Slaughter Priest to our Slaughter Priest just to get another draw. We just need to dig into some action here. It's tapped. No attacks because it has Pro Black. Get to exile. Draw another card. Yeah, opponent going after our graveyard, sure. Sure. I mean, going after a graveyard is concerning, but okay. Like, yeah, they can take whatever we put in the graveyard with Lamia, but it is a 4/4 lifelinker. So, there's that. I mean, even if they, I guess actually they can just chump it forever with Apostle, so. Rakdos, Firewheeler, sure. We'll just play the Lamia this turn. Use the Firewheeler next turn to kill their 1-1 they make. Play Lamia, go put a... I don't know. We'll just put... We don't want to draw any more land. We'll just put a land in the graveyard, because they're going to exile it anyway. So... play this Blood Crypt tapped. And pass turn. No attacks. Now we get to trigger our Furious Rise. So, I mean, the longer this game goes, the more value we get out of Furious. Wow. Still drawing lands. Okay. Make a 1-1. Sure, sure, sure. We will ping the crap out of that with Rakdos Fireweaver. Or Wheeler, rather. Sure. Eventually we're gonna hit a... Jeez. Eventually we're gonna hit a... a giant off the top with this Furious Rise, and then we can kill the Apostle. I guess there's no reason to attack with the Lamia, because they just prevent the damage. So we don't actually gain the life. So, just, we'll pass turn. Still hitting lands. Well, the good thing about drawing 2 cards a turn is eventually we're going to just draw all the lands in our deck, so... Eventually, they're going to run out of stuff. Yep, sure. I guess eventually they'll draw into their big enchantments. Okay. Blast Zone can kill the Furious Rise eventually. That's something. My turn. My god, we really are just gonna draw all lands. This is kind of insane. I guess if we attack here, we just trade the Firewheeler with a 1-1. Not really worth it, so we'll just pass turn. No attacks. Oh, this is pretty comical. Okay, well, we are going to dig every last land out of our deck, so that's the positive. If they just pop the Blast Zone at 3 to kill our Furious Rise, that also blows up these Banishing Lights. So, we're okay with that. Anything we want to do? No. Fry. Okay, I think we will play this. We can fry, but then it gets back. They can do brought back to bring back the Apostle. So I think we'll just pass the turn again. No tax. Plan on frying when they go to. I think what they want to do is pop these, and then get them back with brought back. Okay, so now if they... So this is for 4, so that's going to kill our Firewheeler? Okay. Got our Firewheeler, sure. Okay, so now we're going to fry at the end of this turn, so that they couldn't see. If we did it last turn, they could bring back not only the Apostle, but also the Blast Zone. So doing it this way means they can only get back the Apostle. Oy, Cavalier of Dawn. Okay. Probably just a Furious Rise, I expect. So he stopped drawing 2 cards a turn. We do run 4 though, so we will eventually find another Furious Rise. Sure, we'll let it. We won't sack it because we actually do want to get the token. Okay, we will fry the Apostle. They can get it back with brought back, but that's all they're getting back if they do that. Okay. Crack the Fabled Passage. Dig one of the few remaining lands out of our deck. Okay, they are just going to bring it back. Sure, sure, that's fine. This does mean we can Gravebreaker Lamia and also potentially do something out of our graveyard this turn. Okay, so how much mana we would have? Yeah, we would have enough. I guess we can't actually... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, we can actually... Yeah, we can actually do Kroxa, can't we? So we'll Fable Passage, crack it. Go and get a mountain. Play Lamia. Yep, making sure we have enough mana. They don't have the mana to exile anything, right? Yeah. So then we will go and get Kroxa. Play Kroxa, exile our graveyard while they're tapped out for their Apostle. Play our Kroxa. Ding our opponent for 3. And I guess we will attack with the Slaughter Priest. Opponent just chumps, sure. Alright, pass turn. Opponent can tick up this Blast Zone to 2 to blow up our Slaughter Priest. Well, that's a little unfortunate. Do we want to let it go under the Banishing Light, or do we want to sacrifice? I guess we'll sacrifice it, and then that makes them spend the mana to eat it with Apostle, so at least that taps them out for this turn. They can't make a 1/1. That's something. Oh my god, we're still drawing lands. Kinda crazy. Alright, yeah. Ugh. Alright. Pass turn. No attacks. Pass turn. That makes a 1/1. Okay. Sure. We just need to desperately... Okay, another possible, sure. Draw non-lands here. I think I am gonna... I kind of wanted to keep the Evolving Wilds around to make this thing go up to 4 power if we need it to, but I'm just tired of drawing lands here. I'm gonna try to dig every land in our deck out. Oh. Slaughter Priest, sure. We would like to hit another enchantment to let us draw 2 lands a turn if we could. Let's see. Okay, pass turn. Oh, no. Pass turn. Opponent makes me 1/1. Sure. Opponent's drawing lands too, but they have rare lands like Castle Ardenvale to eke out value. Noxious Grasp. They don't have any enchantment to get back, so I think we do hit this with Noxious Grasp. Attack with everything. No, attack with everything. Sure. Okay, just some chumping and eating our 2 Mogises. Sure. Okay, they're just gonna kill one of the Lamias, that's also fine. I don't know about this plan. Okay, they're reconsidering again. They are just gonna eat our, okay, they're gonna eat our Mogises and just chump our Lamias. Sure, take 3. Yeah, that's fine. Sure, and we will play a mountain and pass turn. Make a 1/1. Get a Kroxa. Ooh, Bone Crusher's good. So here we will attack with everything again. 1/1, sure. Just do some chumping, but we have a surprise up our sleeve. Bone Crush the Apostle. So this means our Gravebreaker gets to live. It's gonna eat up our graveyard in response. Sure. Right. The Apostle. They lose both their 1/1s. Player Bone Crusher. Oh, and I secret mode of Bone Crusher actually says on stomp damage can't be prevented this turn, so we actually blew this out. The other one that we didn't shock, its protection couldn't save it from the damage, so pretty nifty trick there. I actually wasn't even thinking about that, but let's just pretend I'm a pro player who had that in mind the whole time. Drag's not bad. All right, attack with everything. I don't think they have Settle the Wreckage, so make a 1/1. Okay, that keeps them alive. I guess I should have. Okay, that was a mistake. I should have blown up the 1/1 with my drag to the underworld to go for lethal here. But it's fine too. If we end up losing from here, I'll cry, because that was probably game. But I mess it up. Okay, goes up to 3. So I guess they can. I don't know what they do to survive here. That blast zone's not going to get the job done. Oh, okay. Sure. Get back our board, and our opponent scoops it up. Alright. So we fought through that mono-white enchantment deck. Pretty cool deck. Exploiting like Brought Back and some sagas and just some enchantment synergies. Pretty interesting. Not exactly budget. That's the thing. On Arena, it's kind of hard to do budget monocolor decks. Sometimes, because when you're sticking to one color, it's harder to find like uncommons that are playable. So I wouldn't really call it a budget deck in an Arena sense, but probably in paper is pretty cheap. Anyway, pretty cool deck our opponent was playing, but yeah, we took it down with the Kroxpot. I don't know. The deck name's still in progress. I think I'm going with Kroxpot, but it kind of doesn't work because I think it's actually pronounced Kroxa, but whatever. Kroxpot. On to the next game. Alright, playing some Kroxpot against our opponent, Vin, here. One red source makes his hand, like, ludicrous, but... yeah, I'm keeping. This might be a mistake. If I just draw no red sources, this hand is going to suck ass. But, I chose this fate. Let's see, white. So are they maybe mono-white life gain? That can be a pretty scary deck. It's no joke. Yeah, looks like mono-white life gain. Okay, Babel Passage. Do I want to just do this? I guess we just Mire Triton. Maybe we draw into an untapped red source for next turn. I was considering just hoping we could... I just don't think we're going to be able to hit this Daxos. Even if I do get my red source ready for next turn, I think it's going to have, you know... Its toughness is equal to their devotion to white, so it's going to be more than 2 before we untap, I think. Yeah, there's Linden. It's now at 2/5. Yeah, but this deck is kind of scary with Heliod now. Okay. You know, I think I will trade. Kroxa. So here. Yeah. Okay. Go get a red source. Do nothing this turn. Paying the price for my hubris. At least we have a red source, but it is tapped. Ugh, Heliod. Really bad. I guess if we draw a red source next turn, I can double stomp this Linden. That would be the best thing. Okay, we did draw a red source, and I think I am going to do that. Let's get this Linden off the freaking battlefield. Not only does it almost turn on Heliod by itself, but it's just a total bomb with Heliod, so... Stomp the Linden. Stop the Linden. We've got no way to deal with this Heliod as a red-black deck. We have Therica's Libation technically, but we don't even have that on our sideboard. Mobilized Strike, okay. Another Daxos. And a Pride Mate. Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Okay. I think we Kroxa here. Make them discard while we can. Okay, I guess a Heliod isn't super impactful because they can't really get rid of Heliod anyway, but we'll see. If we can trade with this Pride Mate, we absolutely will. But if they have like 2 creatures here, we won't be able to. Okay, there's a land. That's good. That's good. That's bad. Oh, brutal. Yeah, we have to make another Pride Mate. And this Heliod's turned on. Yeah, we will. Okay, we are going to trade with this Pride Mate. Yeah, this is not great. Not great at all. This thing have 2. Yeah. Ugh. Okay. I guess we just Farrakha spawn. Could get back Kroxa. I guess we Kroxa actually, because then we get to play 2 spells this turn. So we'll Kroxa. Exile, 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 everything except Farrakha spawn. Opponent hit opponent for 3. Play the Rage Hound. But our opponent's just... Look at this board. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. We could have gone Farrakha spawn and it would come back as a 5/6 and also make them sack a creature. Maybe that was better than doing this. I don't know. Another Bride Mate.
Our true strength lies in our friendships.
See what they put the counter on with Heliod. Put it on the Heliod itself, sure. If we can draw a removal spell for Daxos, we can be in okay shape. Oh, maybe. I mean, as long as they didn't draw something good here. That's just a land, alright. So they can fire up Mobilize District. Get in with everything. We'll probably just trade with a 6/6 with Kroxa and block the Heliod with Underworld Ragehound. Wow. Okay. Just jump. Guess their plan is to get these bigger than Kroxa. Well, Furious Rise. We'll Bone Crusher Giant. Start drawing extra cards. Try to find removal spells for this mess. No attacks. Yeah, it's not a removal spell. We need to find Drag to the Underworld to blow up this Daxos and turn off their Heliod, I think is our best bet. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Are they just firing up? Ooh, okay, we're dead. We are 10,000% dead. Yeah, we're dead. Basically, they're going to get a, like, when they attack with everything here, they're going to get 4 separate life gain triggers. They can scatter the counters around, so... And they haven't even ticked up their Ajani yet, which would give them a whole other life gain counter, so... Uh-oh, I quit mid-animation, so now we have to hear a twinkle sound effect. But, we'll go up the Fries, go up the Noxious Grasps. Do we want to go up the Disfigures? I guess the Pride Mates get out of range of that pretty quick, don't they? Maybe we should be running Farrakha's Libation instead of Ongrass Rampage. I feel like we run into more enchantments when I get rid of than any of these. We have enough removal for that, so maybe it's a mistake to be running Ongrass Rampage. Do we want to use it though? I think we do, because they have Planeswalkers. We'll bring in a couple of those. Go down one of the Anaxes, go down one of the Fire Wheelers, go down the Farrakha's spawn, go down, and just trim around the edges. Go down one of the Slaughter Priest, one of the Rage Hounds, maybe 2 of the Rage Hounds, sort of like that. Alright, we will play Versed against Vin, and yeah, we will keep this. Looks pretty decent against our opponent's deck. That touch is actually pretty good. Okay, our opponent mulliganed. Again, I guess maybe this is a mulligan heavy deck, this mono white deck, because really you need Heliod, right? Like, the deck is just not great without Heliod, but if you can get a Heliod, this deck is kind of disgusting. So maybe this is the right way to play it, just mulligan until you hit a Heliod. Interesting. I wonder if we should just Agonizing Remorse, if that's the case. I think I'm going to. Just Agonizing Remorse. Take the... Take the Pride Mate. Take the Pride Mate, and then we'll take the Linden. And they can get whatever they want with this Debauch Decree. We don't care about that. Okay. Fatal Passage. Agonizing Remorse. Take the... I guess we take the Ajani, actually. They can play a Linden, whatever. And pass turn. Got this Death Toucher to block the Linden. If they use this Devout Decree on our Death Toucher, we're in pretty good shape, I think. Go get a red source. Mountain. Mire Triton. Ooh, there's a Kroxa, not bad. Elseid, alright. They're just gonna attack. Okay, we'll make them use the Elseid. They're gonna sack here, give it pro black, but we got another Mire Triton. No, sure, no problem. Pro black. Okay, we will... How many cards we got in our grave? Okay, we got enough to get Kroxa back, wow. We are just gonna play Kroxa. I mean, they can eat it with this, but... I mean, I think it's still worth it to attack their hand. Exile everything except the Gravebreaker. Attack their hand, make them discard. Okay, so they get to Devout Decree or Kroxa this turn, sure. We've pretty much stripped them of resources with all our discard this game. That's kind of where we want to be, I think. Discard at the top, so I imagine it's a Heliod. I don't know what else they would leave on top at this point. Yeah, you know what? I think we just do it now. Double Bone Crush this thing. Linden is just something we don't want to let survive, and the fact they discarded at the top means a Linden's not coming. So, imagine they play Heliod here. Yep, there's a Heliod. Sure, but we get to go Lamia. Put Kroxa in the graveyard. Where are you at, Kroxa? There he is. Put Kroxa in the graveyard. That was a pretty good draw. One of the better draws in their deck for sure. They can give it lifelink as well, but okay, Fry's not bad. So we will attack with Lamia. Play Anax. Play Mire Triton. Start filling up our graveyard for a Kroxa. I would have liked to draw that removal spell, but we can Fry. I mean, between this Death Toucher and Fry, we should be in pretty good shape. Okay. We will Fry the Daxos. And they make a 1/1. Gain some life. Sure, but they're gonna lose the Daxos anyway. Play a Mountain. Play Bone Crusher. Attack with everything. They can throw the 2/2 in front of our Death Toucher, but then we have enough cards in the graveyard to get back our Kroxa, so we're okay with that. But pretty good here. We're kind of outvaluing them even without ever drawing our Furious Rise. Hushbringer. Okay. That we actually like that. Because that means, I mean, in a general sense we do. It doesn't really change anything here. Okay, we'll just fry away the Hushbringer and let's get this game finished. That'll give us enough cards in the graveyard for Kroxa, which we will then play. Exile, 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 exile. And I think the Titans beat the gods this time. Yep, one scoops it up. Alright, so that went a bit more how we wanted it to. Discard was key. Stripping our opponent of resources is vital, especially when their plan is to mulligan until they hit a Heliod. Like, if that's what they're going for, then discard is going to wreck them, right? So, anything we want to change here? No, I don't think so. I think we just run it back. Hoped we draw our discard to punish him. Alright, last game against Vin. Mono white life gain, and we run red black Kroxpot. Kroxpot. Yeah, we'll keep this. We do want another land here, but we've got Kroxa attack their hand, we've got good removal spells, so I don't think we throw it back. Sure, Healer's Hawk. With this tapped. Alright. Probably just go Furious Rise, or we'll go Stomp, Bone Crusher Giant, Furious Rise maybe? We'll see what our opponent does. Okay, there's no Johnny's Pride Mate. Might have to Noxious Grasp that. No, I think we actually Mire Triton here and try to trade with the Pride Mate. Rather than just shooting the Healer's Hawk with the Bone Crusher. Okay, there's a Heliod, sure. Hopefully they put the counter on the bird, and then we can Bone Crush it. They do put the counter on the bird, alright. Here we will... Yeah, we'll just Bone Crusher Giant now on the Healer's Hawk, before they untap. And pass turn. Kroxa is going to be good, the fewer cards they have in hand, so next turn if we can untap Kroxa and like, you know, like Noxious Grasp their Pride Mate. I think our opponent is going to regret playing that, because now we get to just play Kroxa, and it doesn't die. Now we will Noxious Grasp the... You know what, I guess we just hold on to the Noxious... Yeah, we'll just hold on to the Noxious Grasp. No attacks. Pass turn. So we got to play our Kroxa for free. For a 2-mana... we got a 2-mana 6/6. Okay, now we are gonna Noxious Grasp that. Destroy the Linden. Turn the Heliod back off. Opponent gets in with Hushbringer. Okay. Yeah. I think we will fry... Did we fry the Hushbringer? Yeah, I'm gonna fry the Hushbringer. Get in for 6, get our Kroxa trigger. Force our opponent to discard. Wow. Play the Slaughter Priest. We can start Furious Rising here soon. Banishing Light, just a Mire Triton? Sure. Oh, on the Kroxa. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we Bone Crusher. Opponent has kind of stabilized a bit. I think we attack with a Mire Triton. Yeah, we're willing to trade 2 things for the 1 thing if they want to do that. We've got enough value here. Elciad makes things harder, because now they can give it protection from red. Okay, they decide not to. Yeah, we'll Gravebreaker Lamia. Yeah, Gravebreaker Lamia, go get another Kroxa. Don't quite have enough cards to get it back, but we're getting close. No attacks. Pass turn. Alright, Dawn of Hope, sure. Can he give himself lifelink? No, he can't. That's 1 positive. Fry, okay. So I think we will save Kroxa for our next turn. We will fry the... Well, they can give it protection, can't they? Okay, we will Furious Rise. We'll save the fry for instant speed, so if they ever tap out, we'll go after the Pride Mate. But for now, we'll just start drawing 2 cards to turn off our Furious Rise, so... Sure, our opponent can sit around doing nothing if they feel like it. Yep. Another Elsiad. Sure. Sure, that's fine. Opponent gets in for 5. Okay, we'll just take 5. We're still at 20, so not a big deal. Pass turn. Alright, we will play Evolving Wilds, crack Evolving Wilds. Play, go get a Swamp, play Kroxa, exile our graveyard. Here he comes. This is big enough to block a Heliod, so we're going to take some damage. And pass turn. Still get to draw 2 cards to turn off this Furious Rise. Ooh, Bone Crusher's not bad. That's actually good against Elsiad, because we can make it, we can stop damage from being prevented with Bone Crusher. So I think what we do is just go on the full value plan. Furious Rise, start drawing like, I guess, hold on, we'll wait 1 turn here. We'll start going after their Elsiads. We wanted to save that to make damage unpreventable and kill this Pridemate, but I think we'd rather just start working away at these Elsiads the old-fashioned way, now that we're going to be drawing a million cards a turn. No. Dead. And pass turn. Draw 2 more extra cards. Furious Rise. Alright. Yeah, so we're really going off with our value plan this time. Furious Rise is showing its strength. This is why it's the build around of our deck. If we get into these situations where our opponent kind of stabilizes and stalls out, we can just sit back, start, it's like a Phyrexian Arena that doesn't cost us life, right? Just play a ton of extra cards every turn. I mean, we're grinding with the best of them now. Okay, what are they gonna go after? Kroxa. We'll just sacrifice Kroxa to our Slaughter Priest. So it goes into our graveyard. Sure, opponent gets it for 5. Yeah, I think we take it. We can start gaining a bit life back by attacking with a Gravebreaker once we get the Elsiad off the battlefield, which we're about to. So we will, let's see, we'll Anax, play the Blood Crypt, tapped. We will drag to the Underworld the Pridemate. Opponent's going to sacrifice the Elsiad. In response to them sacrificing, we are going to fry the Pridemate. Combat, attack with everything except the Mire Triton. We'll get to gain 4 more life back here, so we're out of the danger zone. Opponent doesn't even have the mana to draw with Dawn of Hope when they come here. So they're looking pretty bad, and now we get to draw 2 more cards. God, yeah, Furious Rise has absolutely won us this game. We've just got basically a super ultra Phyrexian Arena. Like, way better than Phyrexian Arena even. Wow. Good game. Good game. Ooh, okay, so we took down mono white life gain. We were able to disrupt them enough. So they did get out ahead of us one game too quickly for us to answer them, but the other games we were able to disrupt them enough, and the Furious Rise, we just were able to ride that to victory in the last game. I mean, geez Louise, we drew so many extra cards, and we could have played another Furious Rise if we wanted to. We just basically already had more action than we even needed. Like, we could be drawing 4 cards a turn instead of 3, but we were doing pretty good at 3. So yeah, you get to see the power of Kroxpot here. Kroxa is a absolute powerhouse, and this deck is pretty awesome. Sweet. Alright, so Kroxpot ended up being awesome. Furious Rise was a bomb when it went off. Like, it grinded so much value, it was ridiculous. Not even Blue-Eye Control with all their card draw could keep up with us. We were just outdrawing them with our Furious Rises. And Kroxa was an absolute bomb and a blast to play. This deck is awesome. I actually really like this deck. For now, we'll talk about potential upgrades you can make, and first and foremost, we'll talk about the most obvious one, which is we could just up the number of some of our rares here. We would definitely play 4 Gravebreaker Lamias if we could, you know, if we weren't stretching our budget too hard by doing it. But if you've got the 4th copy of Gravebreaker, just throw it in. In Kroxa, you probably go up to 3. I don't know, maybe you go up to 4 with Kroxa, because even in the, you know, even if you have additional copies, you can still play him as like a 2-mana, make your opponent discard and burn him for 3, right? So maybe it's just worth going up to 4, you know, despite the fact that he's legendary. So that's, you can decide that. I guess he does kind of play well with himself too, right? Because he puts himself in the graveyard that he can, the other him can exile for escape. So yeah, actually I think I'd go up to 4. I'd go up to 4 Kroxas and 4 Lamias. So that's the most obvious, just upping a number of our existing rares. But let's talk about some additional upgrades you can make in the form of other rares or mythics. So a card I think would slot in really nicely here is Rotting Regisaur. Rotting Regisaur triggers our Furious Rise. You know, it's a 7-power creature, Furious Rise. Cares about things with power 4 or greater, so it's great to have another 3-mana enabler for our Furious Rise. And also we have a lot of stuff that would just be okay to discard in this deck. You know, if we discard a Kroxa to our Rotting Regisaur, that's not the worst, you know. If we discard an Underworld Ragehound, you know, we have all these things we can get back with Escape. And Furious Rise, importantly, if we have like multiple copies of Furious Rise out and we're drawing, you know, in quotation marks, drawing cards off of those, they're not actually going into our hand, right? They're exiled by the Furious Rise. So we can technically have a hand kind of like off to the side, right, with our Furious Rises. If we have like 2 or 3 Furious Rises out, and each of them is exiling 3 cards a turn, well, we can kind of technically get around Rotting Regisaur's downside. So I do think this would be a really cool card to explore in this deck. So I would try that. I almost wanted to try to force it in, but I think running 4 copies of Bone Crusher took precedence, but it was almost in the deck as well. I think it just fits really well with this deck. That'd be a great upgrade, slotting a few copies of Rotting Regisaur in. Probably try 4 copies. It might be better at like 3 or 2, but definitely try playing this if you've got a few copies. Spawn of Mayhem would be another great inclusion, and as another basically 3-mana enabler for Furious Rise. Really, if we wanted to just go full in on the Furious Rise plan, we could kind of drop the more graveyard-focused aspect of this, like the Gravebreaker Lamia and the Mired Tritons, and maybe we could just run the, you know, a couple Kroxa and just trust that they are going to get there eventually, right? We don't have to focus on filling up the graveyard with them. So we might want to focus in more on like low-cost 4-power or greater creatures, and just really try to maximize the power of this Furious Rise. That's something we could look into, a direction going with this deck. But even outside of that, if we did want to stick with this strategy, Spawn of Mayhem is probably worth running. I mean, a 4-mana flying trample 4/4 that's going to be drawing us cards with Furious Rise is really, really good. So definitely would look into playing Spawn of Mayhem. On the other side of things, if we wanted to focus in more on the graveyard half of our deck, Tymaret Call of the Dead would be really nice. It by itself puts 6 cards into our graveyard. I think having more ways to fill up the graveyard would go a long way to making these, you know, these escape creatures feel more powerful, you know, to making them feel not quite as pinched on resources. We usually could, you know, we'd have to escape once or twice, then we were usually kind of out of ammo. You know, we'd have to kind of wait a bit to refill our graveyards. So if we focused in more on the self-mill, we could probably make these escape creatures feel a little better. But yeah, something to look into. Tymaret Call of the Dead is a really good way to fill up the graveyard. Ox of Agonis would be really nice to try as well. Don't want to run too many copies of this because it is very intensive on its escape side. I mean, 2 mana, not intensive, but exile 8 other cards from your graveyard, very intensive. So if we wanted to try Ox, we would probably have to focus in a lot more on the self-mill thing. We probably wouldn't want to just slot it into this kind of deck. But it is very, very, very powerful, especially with Furious Rises, because, you know, Ox of Agonis makes you discard your hand and then draw 3 cards, which is, you know, generally you want to play that as an upside. You want to be at like 1 card, 0 cards in hand when you play Ox, so it's just like a draw 3. But if you have Furious Rise, then it doesn't even matter, right? If you discard your hand, draw 3 cards, and then you have Furious Rise drawing you extra cards, well, that's just gravy, right? So I think Ox of Agonis is an interesting card to try, but I think you'd have to refactor the deck a bit, make it more focused on the graveyard, make self-mill basically the primary strategy of the deck, so you don't you have enough fuel in your graveyard for Oxygonis, because 8 is a lot, and as it's currently built, we would have some trouble getting there consistently. And a card I actually think would be interesting to try is Coil Serpent. Coil Serpent, it actually just dodges a lot of the best removal in the format right now. It doesn't dodge Murderous Strider, but Teferi can't bounce it, Dream Trawler can't get through it, it can block Krasis for days, and you can make it too big for mono red to deal with. So I think Coil Serpent has a kind of good place in the meta right now, and it is something you can get up pretty easily above Furious Rise, right? You can just play it as a 4-mana 4/4, and then it turns on your Furious Rises. So if we wanted to focus in a bit, kind of go full throttle in the Furious Rise strategy, I think it would be interesting to try Coil Serpent. I think it's actually in a pretty good place in the format right now, so another creature to look into. A simple one that's kind of straightforward is just replacing our removal with something better. Drag to the Underworld is there because it's an uncommon, really. And I mean, there is situations where we can have out, like a Slaughter Priest and a Mire Triton, and suddenly this is a 2-mana removal spell, which is pretty nice. But Murderous Rider is just so much better, right? It's just such a powerful card, especially because our deck is not really super devoted to black, so this doesn't get lowered too much most of the time. And just being able to hit Planeswalkers is so key. Being able to just kill a Nissa on the spot is very, very powerful. So go up the Murderous Riders if you have them. Take out these Drags of the Underworlds. And lastly, castles. This is pretty much every video I make talks about this in the upgrade section. But if you got any of the castles, just throw them in. Probably, I mean, Castle Imbreth, not as good in this deck because this deck isn't super aggressive. I'd probably go with the Castle Locthwain instead. But, if you only have Imbreth, then you can throw those in as well. It's just kind of free value. There's no real reason not to run, a couple copies of Locthwain and maybe one copy of Imbreth. Especially because there were some points in the game where, in the games we had where we just drew a whole bunch of lands, and it would be really nice to have a Castle Locthwain to just let us, grind away, get an extra draw per turn, kind of dig through those pockets of land. So definitely throw in a Locthwain or two if you've got them. Anyway, that wraps it up for Furious Kroxpot. Super fun deck. I had a ton of fun playing this deck for real, and I probably will play it a little bit more, and I'd like to play a non-budget version of it. It sounds pretty fun. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. This has been 2D, and I'll see you next time.